Now that we've done the initial cleanup and removed the plaster walls, the next step is to do some changes on the interior framing. The first step is to open up the wall between the kitchen and the dining room. This is going to give a more open floor plan and I think just look better in general. So we're going to have to replace the support that this wall gives with a beam. Let's get started. One thing you're going to want to be careful of is making sure that you know where all the electrical wiring is in the wall. This receptacle was plastered over, but the wires were still hot, but luckily nothing happened. And also in this video, we're going to have a guest star, this lovely lady here, tearing out that door jamb, is going to be jointly narrating the video and talking a little bit more about sort of the reason in doing this and other changes like this in the house.
So the house we're working on is about 800 square feet, and when we were looking at the floor plan, we were thinking, where do we spend most of our time in the house? And I spend most of my time in the kitchen, working on different things, and he spends a lot of time in the dining room or in the living room, editing videos or working on little projects that he has. So we thought it'd be nice to kind of open up the space a little bit so we could kind of live in the space together a little bit more. So what we decided to do was take down the wall between the dining room and the living room. Not only does it open it up, it also creates a little bit more light in the house, and it makes the house seem bigger than what it actually is.
And on that note, you do want to make sure that the structure above the wall you're removing is fully supported during the actual process of removing it. In this case, I just used some 2x4s and supported it on both sides. And if at any point during a construction project like this you're unsure what you're doing, check with somebody. In my case, anytime I don't know exactly the way I should do something, I check with the local building permit office, and the fellow that does the actual inspections, he is a very nice guy, and in some cases he'll even come out and talk to you about the project, so you can check with your local officials for help. And unlike on my other channel, The Homestead Craftsman, when I'm doing these videos, I not only get a little helper on my projects, but I also get a filmer, which is an extra bonus.
Which is cool because not only are we working on a project that's fun to work on together, it's also like I'm kind of making home videos as we go along as well.
So it's really killing two birds with one stone for me. I mean, we're getting those home videos like she mentioned, but I'm also getting to make these YouTube videos. So I mean, it's pretty much cool from every angle for me. In this case, I made up my beam out of two 2x8s with some 7/16 inch OSB in between, and the reason for the OSB is to get the beam thickness out to the same as the wall, which is 3.5 inches. It also adds some additional rigidity, but it's mainly for the drywalling in the end. And I'm only using 2x8s because it's just a 9-foot span, so in larger spans you would use a larger dimension piece of lumber, or in some cases even steel. And the other big thing you want to make sure that you do is face your crowns up. Anytime you sight down a board, you'll see that it curves one way or another. Match them up on the boards and then face that crown of the entire beam up once it's placed into the wall.
One of the neat things about us working on this project together is I get to learn a lot of woodworking skills that I wouldn't typically use. And as you can see, I'm about ready to make a mistake, and I walk underneath that beam as we're lifting it up, and so you shouldn't do that at home if you're working on a project like this, but it's a neat way to kind of learn new skills that I wouldn't otherwise know.
And also another thing too, when you're experienced, I'm not saying that I know everything in the world, but I fool around with this type of stuff all the time, and I've repaired, renovated several houses and done a lot more before that, and sort of on a handyman level before. Is that when you have someone else around you that is not really familiar with stuff, it sort of reminds you of all the things that you've sort of learned. So it's not in sort of like a cocky way, but it just sort of, you really realize how much you learn over time just by doing. And it was a good project. Like I said, it took most of the day. Of course, there's some other stuff that's going to go on afterwards of drywalling it and all the finishing steps, but just as far as getting it roughed in, just a day project and a fun one at that. So thank you all for watching, and be sure to tune back in for future videos of repairing or I guess renovating this entire house. And so that's all for today. Thanks for watching.
See you later.